If your smart TV is spying on you, your phone is tracking your every move, and your internet provider is quietly recording everything you do online, this video is for you. I know that sounds dramatic, but by the end of this video, you will understand exactly what is happening behind the scenes, and more importantly, you will know exactly how to stop it. Today, we are talking about DNS filtering. Now, I know that sounds like something only IT guys care about, but stay with me because this one change can block 70 to 90% of all the tracking, ads, and surveillance hitting your devices right now. And the best part is, some of these solutions take less than 5 minutes to set up. Welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, we cover privacy, security, and technology in a way that actually makes sense for real people. Make sure you subscribe so you do not miss what is coming next, because today's topic connects to several other videos I have made recently about VPNs and smart TV surveillance. Links are in the description below. Now let us get into it. Before we talk about fixing the problem, we need to understand what DNS actually is and why it is leaking your entire life to people who should not have access to it. DNS stands for Domain Name System. Think of it as the internet's phone book. When you type YouTube, comment to your browser, your device does not actually know where YouTube lives on the internet. It knows domain names like YouTube. But the internet runs on IP addresses, which are just strings of numbers. So your device sends a request to a DNS server and asks, "Where's YouTube?" The DNS server looks it up and sends back the actual IP address. Your browser then connects to that address and the page loads. Simple enough. But here is what most people do not realize. This lookup process happens hundreds or even thousands of times every single hour across every device in your home. Your phone does it, your laptop does it, your smart TV does it, your streaming box does it. Even your smart thermostat and your Wi-Fi connected dishwasher do it. Every single app, every website, every background service is constantly sending DNS requests without you ever seeing it. Now ask yourself this: who is reading all those requests? Because every DNS request contains your IP address, a timestamp, the name of the website or service you're trying to reach, and which device sent the request. Individually, none of that sounds too alarming. But when you put it all together and track it over days and weeks and months, the picture becomes very detailed very fast. Your DNS requests reveal when you wake up in the morning, because that is when your phone starts pinging servers. They reveal when you go to sleep, because that is when the requests stop. They show what apps you use, what websites you visit, what streaming services you watch, when you are home, when you are away, when you are on vacation, and what devices you own. It maps your entire behavioral pattern second by second, hour by hour, day by day. And who collects all of this? Your ISP. Your internet service provider handles your DNS requests by default, unless you have changed your settings. And ISPs do not collect this data out of the kindness of their hearts. They build detailed profiles on every customer, and they sell that data to advertisers, data brokers, and analytics companies. This is one of the largest privacy leaks in your digital life, and almost nobody talks about it. DNS filtering is how you fix it. So what exactly is DNS filtering and how does it work? The concept is actually very simple. Instead of letting every DNS request go through unchecked, a DNS filter sits in the middle and decides which requests to allow and which ones to block. When your device tries to connect to an ad server or a tracking domain or a telemetry endpoint, the DNS filter either fails to resolve that domain or returns a fake address. Your device gets nothing back, the connection never happens, and the tracking never fires. Think of it like this. Imagine someone ripped out all the pages from a phone book belonging to scammers, data brokers, ad networks, and surveillance companies. When your device tries to look up those numbers, they simply do not exist anymore. The ad server cannot load, the tracking pixel never fires, the telemetry data never reaches its destination. The smart TV ACR system that records everything you watch never phones home. All of it gets stopped at the network level before it even reaches your devices. Here's a list of what DNS filtering can block: banner ads across websites and apps, mobile app tracking, smart TV surveillance and ACR tracking, background telemetry from your operating system, analytics beacons, data exfiltration to data brokers, hidden tracking scripts inside mobile apps, botnet callbacks, malware domains, phishing sites, and a whole category of junk that your devices are constantly communicating with that you never asked them to. Now here is what DNS filtering cannot block. And I want to be honest about this. YouTube ads are served from the same domain as YouTube itself, so DNS filtering cannot touch them. The same applies to TikTok and Instagram ads that are served inline. Netflix, Hulu, and other streaming service ads on ad-supported plans are also untouchable by DNS filtering. So DNS filtering is not a magical solution that eliminates every ad from your life. What it is a network-level bouncer that kicks out 70 to 90% of the garbage before it ever reaches your devices. Your devices do not have to process it, your browser does not have to deal with it, and your smart TV gets the digital equivalent of having its mouth taped shut. Now I promised you solutions for everyone, from complete beginners to people who enjoy opening a terminal window at 11 p.m. just for fun. So I have organized everything into tiers based on difficulty. You pick the level that matches your comfort zone and your situation. The first tier is the beginner tier, and this is for people who want results right now with no new hardware, no router login, and no technical knowledge required. The biggest advantage of beginner tier solutions is that they travel with you. Set it up on your phone and your laptop, and the protection follows you to coffee shops, airports, hotels, and anywhere else you use the internet. The downside is that you have to configure each device individually, and some devices do not expose their DNS settings to you. For beginner tier, my top recommendation is NextDNS. NextDNS is a cloud-based DNS filtering service that gives you a massive blocklist library, an analytics dashboard so you can see exactly what your devices are trying to connect to, per device profiles, parental controls, and one of the cleanest interfaces I have ever used in this category. Setting it up takes under 5 minutes on Android, iOS, Windows, Mac, Linux, and even most browsers. The free tier has some usage limits, but the Pro plan costs less than $20 a year in US dollars, which is genuinely one of the best values in privacy software. My second recommendation in this tier is AdGuard DNS. It has many of the same features as NextDNS, includes pre-built filtering profiles, and the setup is arguably even simpler. If you want something you can get running in literally 2 minutes, AdGuard DNS is probably your fastest path. If you prefer an app-based approach, AdGuard in device mode is worth looking at. It runs on phones, tablets, and laptops, blocks ads and tracking at the DNS level without requiring you to touch any system settings, and it is straightforward enough for anyone to use. There are other options in this space worth mentioning. Control-D, Clean Browsing, Quad9, SafeDNS, DNS Filter, WebTitan, Cloudflare 1. 111, and OpenDNS Home are all legitimate options with their own strengths. Most of them have free tiers with some limitations, and paid tiers that are generally inexpensive. Do your research and pick the one that fits your needs. One important thing to understand about beginner tier solutions is that simply switching your DNS provider does not automatically stop your ISP from seeing your requests, unless that provider supports encrypted DNS. The protocols you want to look for are DOH, which stands for DNS over HTTPS, DOT, which stands for DNS over TLS, and DOQ, which stands for DNS over QUIC. When your DNS requests are encrypted with one of these protocols, your ISP can no longer read them. They can see that you are sending traffic somewhere, but they cannot see what domains you are looking up. NextDNS and AdGuard DNS both support encrypted DNS, so you are covered on that front. There is also a newer technology called ECH, which stands for Encrypted Client Hello. Without getting too deep into the technical details, ECH hides an additional piece of connection information called the SNI that normally reveals which specific website you are connecting to, even when your DNS is encrypted. As more websites adopt TLS 1, 3, and ECH support, your ISP's ability to see where you're going continues to shrink. This is a good trend, and it is moving in the right direction. The second tier is the intermediate tier, and this one is for people who want every single device in their home protected, not just the ones they can configure individually: smart TVs, streaming boxes, game consoles, smart speakers, IoT devices, and anything else connected to your Wi-Fi can be covered with one change. Instead of configuring DNS on each device, you configure it on your router. Your router handles DNS for your entire network, so every device automatically gets the filtering without any individual setup. The benefit here is enormous. One change covers everything. Every device on your network gets ad blocking, or tracker blocking, and DNS encryption automatically. The downside is that you have to log into your router to make the change, and protection does not follow your devices when they leave home. For that reason, intermediate tier users should combine router-level DNS filtering with on-device settings for their phones and laptops. Here is how to find your router settings. On Windows, open a command prompt and type ipconfig. Look for the default gateway. It will usually start with 10 or 192, 168. Take that IP address, open a web browser, type it into the address bar, and press enter. You will reach your router's login page. The username and password are either something you set up yourself, or they are printed on a sticker on the router itself. Once you are in, look for WAN settings or internet settings and find the DNS server fields. Replace whatever is in there with the DNS addresses from your chosen provider. If you get stuck, the most common problems are a forgotten router password, DNS settings that are hard to find in the interface, or a router that is old enough that it does not support the DNS options you need. If any of those situations apply to you, drop a comment below and I will help you work through it. The third tier is the expert tier, and this is where things get genuinely powerful. Instead of relying on a cloud-based DNS service that you do not control, You host your own DNS filtering solution locally. This means the filtering happens inside your home network on hardware you own and software you control. Nobody else has access to your DNS logs because the logs live on your own device. The two main options in this tier are Pi-hole and AdGuard-Home. Pi-hole is legendary in the privacy and self-hosting community. It runs on Linux and works beautifully on minimal hardware like a Raspberry Pi, which costs around $35 to $50. It uses community-maintained block lists, protects every device on your network, is highly customizable, and has been refined by a massive community for years. If you want serious control over your network and you enjoy tinkering, Pi-hole is deeply satisfying to run. AdGuard-Home covers similar ground, but with an easier setup process and a cleaner interface out of the box. If you want the power of self-hosted DNS filtering without spending as much time configuring things, AdGuard-Home is probably the better starting point. Honestly, the two are very close in capability. My personal preference is Pi-hole simply because I have been running it longer and I am comfortable with it. But if I were recommending one to someone setting this up for the first time today, I would probably say AdGuard-Home. Both Pi-hole and AdGuard-Home work by sitting between your devices and the internet. You point your router's DNS settings to the local IP address of whichever one you are running, and all your network's DNS traffic flows through it. The filtering happens locally, the blocked domains never reach their destinations, and you can see exactly what every device on your network is trying to connect to through a dashboard that is genuinely eye-opening the first time you look at it. The fourth tier is what I call S tier, and this is for people who want to take control as far as it can possibly go. Pi-hole and AdGuard-Home in their default configurations still rely on a third-party DNS resolver. Even if you are running your own filtering server, your DNS requests are eventually forwarded to Cloudflare or Google or Quad9 or whoever you have chosen as your upstream resolver. That means you still have to trust someone with your DNS data at the final step. S tier eliminates that dependency entirely by running your own recursive DNS resolver. Instead of forwarding requests to a third party, your resolver goes directly to the root DNS servers, then to the top-level domain servers, then to the authoritative servers for whatever domain you are looking up. The entire resolution process happens on your own hardware with no intermediary. The software options for this are Unbound, By-N-Design, and Not Resolver. Unbound is the most popular choice for home users, and it combines very cleanly with both Pi-hole and AdGuard-Home. Running Pi-hole with Unbound is one of the most powerful home network privacy setups available to regular people, and it is not as complicated as it sounds. The benefits of running your own recursive resolver are significant. There is no third-party DNS logging of any kind. Public DNS providers all have some relationship with your data, even if they claim not to log it.
No explanation.
When you run your own resolver,
there's
nothing
emergency
to log,
cash flowing
nothing
into
to
the
sell,
financial system,
and no
while you were
company holding
opening
records
presents.
that could be subpoenaed.
3 days later,
Your ISP
on January
also sees
1st,
almost nothing
2026,
useful.
something
Instead
happened
of
that
seeing
had never
DNS
occurred in
requests
modern
going to a
financial
known
history.
DNS provider,
In
they see
Japan,
encrypted traffic
physical
going to
silver was
various
selling for
IP addresses
$130
that they
per
cannot
ounce.
correlate with your
In the
browsing
United
behavior.
Arab Emirates, the
Your
same
entire
story,
DNS footprint
$130.
essentially disappears
But
from
here's
your
where
view.
it gets disturbing.
Performance
At
also
that
improves.
exact same
Public
moment,
DNS
if
is
you looked at
fast,
your trading
but local
screen in
DNS
New
is
York or
faster.
London,
After the
silver
first
was
lookup,
showing
your
$72
resolver
per
caches the
ounce.
result locally.
Let me repeat
Every
that because it
subsequent
sounds
request for
impossible.
the same domain
The same
is
metal
answered
at the same
instantly
time,
without any
trading at
network
an
round trip.
80% premium
Your
in
browsing
one part of
feels
the world versus
snappier
another.
across
This
every
isn't a
device
normal
on your
market
network.
discrepancy.
Security
This is
also
a confession that the
improves
entire system is
Your
breaking.
local resolver
And
can
at the center
validate
of this chaos
DNSSEC,
sits one
which is a
institution that
system
everyone knows,
cryptographically
but nobody
verifies
truly
DNS
understands.
responses are authentic
JP Morgan
and
Chase,
have not been tampered with.
America's
It
largest
avoids
bank,
ISP-level
and they're
DNS
sitting on the
tampering,
largest
blocks
stockpile
captive
of
portal
physical silver
hijacking,
in human
and
history.
stops DNS
On
injection
December
that
26,
some ad networks and
2025,
malicious
while
actors
most of
use.
America was celebrating
This is
Christmas
real
with their
practical
families,
security.
the New York Federal
The
Reserve
combination of
quietly
Pi-hole
injected
or AdGuard-Home
$17
with
billion
Unbound
into an
gives you
unnamed
local
bank.
filtering, local
No press
caching,
release,
full
no
recursive
explanation,
resolution,
just
and
$17
zero
billion
dependency
of
on any
emergency
third party
cash
for
flowing into
DNS.
the financial
It is the
system
best
while you were
available
opening
balance of
presents.
convenience, privacy, and
3 days
protection
later,
for home
on
network.
January 1st,
There is one more thing
2026,
worth addressing before we
something
talk
happened
about
that had
how to
never
choose your
occurred in
setup.
modern financial
Some devices
history.
actively try
In
to
Japan,
bypass your DNS
physical
settings.
silver was selling for
Chromecast,
$130
Android
per
TV, and many
ounce.
IoT devices
In the United Arab
ignore
Emirates,
the
the same
DNS
story,
server your router
$130.
advertises via DHCP.
But here's where it gets disturbing.
Instead,
At
use
that
hard-coded
exact same
resolvers
moment,
like
if you
Google's
looked at your
8.
trading screen in New York or
8,
London,
8,
silver
or
was showing
Cloudflare's
$72
1.
per ounce.
One,
Let me repeat that because it sounds
These
impossible.
devices are essentially
the same metal
cheating.
at the same time,
They skip your
trading
carefully
at an
configured
80%
DNS
premium in
filtering
one part of the
entirely.
world versus another.
There are two ways to
This
deal
isn't
with
a
this.
normal market
The first is to
discrepancy.
redirect all
This is a
outbound
confession
DNS
that the
traffic to
entire
your
system
resolver.
is breaking.
This means any
And at
DNS
the center
request
of this
leaving your network
chaos
on port
sits
53
one
gets
institution that
intercepted
everyone
and
knows,
rerouted
but
through your
nobody
setup,
truly
regardless of what
understands.
address it was sent
JP
to.
Morgan Chase,
The second option is to
America's
block port
largest
53
bank,
and port
and they're sitting on the
853
largest
entirely at
stockpile
your
of physical
firewall
silver
and
in
force
human
all
history.
DNS through
On
your
December
local resolver.
26, 2025,
If you want to go further,
while most of America
put
was
all your
celebrating
untrusted
Christmas with
IoT
their families,
devices devices
The New York
on their
Federal
own
Reserve
separate network
quietly
segment
injected
called a
$17
VLAN
billion
with
into
dedicated
an unnamed
firewall
bank.
rules that prevent
No press
them from
release,
talking to anything
no
they should
explanation.
not.
Just
This is
$17
advanced home
billion
networking,
of
but it is
emergency cash
extremely
flowing
effective.
into the financial
You
system
should also
while
make
you
sure
were
to
opening
disable any
presents.
DNS relay or
3 days
DNS
later,
proxy
on January
features that your
1st,
router might have
2026,
enabled by default.
something happened that had
These
never
can interfere
occurred
with
in
your
modern
custom
financial
DNS
history.
setup in ways that are
In
difficult
Japan,
to diagnose.
physical silver
Now,
was
let us
selling
talk
for
about which setup is right for you
$130
based
per
on your
ounce.
situation.
In the United
If you
Arab
just want
Emirates,
better
the same
privacy
story,
on your phone and
$130.
laptop right now
But
without
here's where
doing
it gets
anything
disturbing.
complicated,
At that
sign up for
exact
Next
same
DNS
moment,
or
if you
set up
looked at your
AdGuard
trading
DNS
screen in New
and
York
follow
or
their
London,
configuration guide for your
silver was
device.
showing
You will be done in
$72
under
per
5
ounce.
minutes.
Let me
You will
repeat that
immediately
because
have
it sounds
encrypted
impossible.
DNS with
The
solid
same
ad and
metal at
tracker
the same
blocking,
time,
following
trading
you
at an
everywhere you go.
80% premium
If you
in
want your
one
entire
part of the
home
world
covered,
versus
including your
another,
smart
this isn't a
TV
normal
and all your
market
other devices,
discrepancy. This is
log
a
into your
confession
router
that the
and
entire
point it
system
at
is
your
breaking.
chosen DNS
And at
provider.
the center of this
Combine
chaos
that with on-device
sits one
settings for your
institution
phone
that
and
everyone
laptop.
knows,
You
but
now have
nobody
whole home
truly
protection.
understands.
If you are comfortable
JP
with a
Morgan
small
Chase,
amount of setup, and you
America's
want to stop
largest
trusting
bank,
third-party
and they're
companies
sitting
with
on the
your
largest
DNS data,
stockpile of
pick
physical
up a
silver in
Raspberry
human
Pi
history.
and
On
install
December
either Pi
26,
Hole or AdGuard
2025, while
Home.
most
Point
of
your router
America
to
was
it.
celebrating Christmas
Watch the
with their
dashboard light
families,
up with
the New York
everything your
Federal
devices
Reserve
have been
quietly
trying to
injected
do behind your
$17
back.
billion
It will
into
surprise
an
you.
unnamed bank.
If you want to go
No
all the
press
way and
release,
run the most
no
private home
explanation.
DNS setup
Just
available to
$17
regular
billion
people,
of emergency
add
cash
Unbound
flowing
to your
into the
Pi Hole
financial
or
system
AdGuard Home
while you were
installation.
opening presents.
Configure it as
3
your
days
upstream
later,
resolver.
on January 1st,
Now your DNS
2026,
lookups go directly to the
something
root
happened that
servers.
had never
No
occurred in
third-party
modern
sees your
financial
queries.
history.
Your ISP
In
sees
Japan,
almost nothing.
physical
And
silver
you have
was
as much
selling for
control over your DNS
$130
as it is
per
practically
ounce.
possible to
In the
have at
United
the
Arab
home network
Emirates, the
level.
same story.
DNS is one of the
$130.
most overlooked
But here's where it
privacy
gets
vulnerabilities
disturbing.
in the
At that
average
exact
person's
same
digital
moment,
life.
if you
Every
looked at your
device you
trading
own is
screen in New
constantly
York or
broadcasting
London,
information about your
silver was
behavior
showing
to whoever
$72 per
handles your
ounce.
DNS.
Let me repeat
Fixing
that
it
because
is
it
not
sounds
complicated,
impossible.
it is not
The
expensive,
same
and
metal
it does
at the
not
same
require
time,
you to be a
trading at an
networking expert.
80% premium in
Whether you
one
spend
part of the
5
world
minutes setting
versus
up Next
another, this
DNS
isn't
on
a
your
normal
phone
market
or a few
discrepancy.
hours building a Pi
This is
Hole
a
with
confession that
Unbound
the
on a
entire
Raspberry
system is
Pi,
breaking.
you are
And
reducing
at the
your
center
data
of this
trail,
chaos
blocking
sits
surveillance,
one
and
institution
taking
that
back
everyone
control of your
knows,
network.
but
Your
nobody
DNS
truly
provider
understands.
sees everything you do
JP
online.
Morgan Chase,
It is time to
America's
make sure the
largest
provider
bank,
is you.
and they're sitting
If
on
you
the
found value
largest
in this video,
stockpile of
please
physical
hit the like
silver in
button and
human history.
subscribe
On
so
December
you do not miss what
26,
is coming next.
2025, while
Drop
most
a
of
comment
America
below
was
and let me
celebrating
know what
Christmas
setup
with
you're
their
currently
families,
running
the New York
or
Federal
what you want your
Reserve
setup to
quietly
look
injected
like.
$17
If you want me to
billion
do a
into
full
an unnamed
step-by-step
bank.
tutorial
No
on
press
Pi
release,
Hole with
no
Unbound or
explanation.
AdGuard Home with
Just
Unbound,
$17 billion
let me know in the
of
comments
emergency cash
which
flowing
one you
into
want
the
to see.
financial system
And if
while
there
you
is
were
enough
opening
interest,
presents.
I will cover both.
3 days
Share this
later,
video with
on
someone who
January
needs to
1st,
hear it.
2026,
And if you want to support the
something
channel,
happened that had
consider
never
becoming
occurred
a
in
member.
modern
It
financial
genuinely
history.
helps
In
more than you
Japan,
know.
physical
Thanks for
silver was
watching and
selling
have a
for
great and private day.
$130 per ounce.
Let me take a moment to go
In
a
the
bit
United
deeper
Arab
on some
Emirates,
of the
the same
technical
story,
concepts because
$130.
I think understanding
But
the
here's where it
why
gets
behind all
disturbing.
of this helps
At
you
that
make better
exact same
decisions
moment,
about your
if you
setup.
looked at your
A
trading
lot of
screen
people
in
hear
New
about
York or
DNS
London,
and immediately
silver
assume
was
it is
showing
too complex for
$72
them.
per ounce. Let
But
me
the
repeat
truth
that
is,
because it
the
sounds
underlying
impossible.
idea is very
The same
simple,
metal
and
at
once
the
you
same
understand
time,
it,
trading at
the
an
whole
80%
picture clicks
premium
into
in one
place.
part of the world
When you
versus
signed
another.
up with
This
your
isn't a
internet
normal
service
market
provider,
discrepancy.
you agreed to
This
their
is a
terms of
confession that
service.
the entire system
Somewhere
is breaking.
buried in that
And
document
at the
is
center of this
language that
chaos
gives them the
sits
right
one
to
institution
collect
that
and use
everyone
data
knows,
generated by
but
your use
nobody
of their
truly
network.
understands.
That includes
JP
DNS
Morgan
data.
Chase,
In many
America's
countries,
largest
there's very
bank,
little
and they're
regulation
sitting on the
preventing
largest
ISPs from doing
stockpile of
this.
physical silver in
In the
human
United
history.
States,
On December
regulations that
26,
would have restricted
2025,
ISP
while
data
most of America
collection
was
were rolled
celebrating
back in
Christmas with their
2017.
families, the New York
In many
Federal
other
Reserve
countries,
quietly
the
injected
situation is
$17
similar
billion
or even less
into an
favorable for
unnamed
consumers.
bank. No press
ISPs
release,
are not doing
no
something illegal when they
explanation.
collect
Just
your DNS
$17 billion
data.
of
They are doing
emergency
something
cash
legal
flowing
that
into the
most of their
financial
customers
system
have
while
no
you were
idea
opening
is happening.
presents.
The data they collect is not just used for advertising either. ISPs ISPs have been known to sell data to data brokers who aggregate it with information from dozens of other sources to build profiles that are then used in ways that have nothing to do with showing you ads. Insurance companies, employers, landlords, and financial institutions have all shown interest in behavioral data at various points. The more you understand about what DNS data reveals about you, the more motivated you will be to encrypt and filter it. Now, let us talk about something that often confuses people when they first start looking into DNS privacy. Using a different DNS provider does not automatically make your DNS private. If you switch from your ISP's DNS server to Google's 8.8.8.8 or Cloudflare's 1.1. 1.1, without enabling encrypted DNS, you have not solved the privacy problem. You have just moved it. Your ISP can still see your DNS requests because they are still being sent in plain text over your ISP's network. The only thing that changed is who processes the request at the end. Your ISP still sees everything. Encrypted DNS is the piece that actually hides your requests from your ISP. When you use DOH, DOT, or DOQ, your DNS requests are wrapped in encryption before they leave your device. Your ISP can see that you are sending encrypted traffic, but they cannot read what is inside. They cannot see which domains you are looking up. This is a meaningful and important distinction, and it is worth making sure that whatever DNS solution you choose actually supports one of these encrypted protocols. Something else worth understanding is the difference between filtering at the device level versus filtering at the network level. Device level filtering, which is what you get with NextDNS or AdGuard on your phone, protects that specific device wherever it goes. It follows you when you leave home, but it only protects that one device. Every other device on your home network is still unprotected unless you configure each one individually. Network level filtering, which is what you get when you configure DNS on your router or run Pi-hole or AdGuard Home locally, protects every device on your home network automatically. The protection is automatic and comprehensive for anything connected to your Wi-Fi or Ethernet, but it does not follow you when you leave home because your phone or laptop switches to a different network with different DNS settings. The ideal setup for most people combines both approaches. Network level filtering covers everything at home. Device level configuration on your phone and laptop extends that protection when you're out in the world. This combination gives you the broadest possible coverage with very little ongoing maintenance once it is set up. One question I get asked regularly is whether DNS filtering slows down your internet connection. The short answer is no, not in any way you would notice. DNS lookups are extremely fast operations that typically complete in milliseconds. Filtering at the DNS level adds essentially no perceptible latency to your browsing experience. In fact, with local DNS caching, your browsing can actually feel faster because frequently visited domains are answered instantly from a local cache, rather than requiring a round trip to an external server. Another common question is whether DNS filtering breaks websites. This can happen, but it is rare and easy to fix. Sometimes, a website relies on a third-party domain that a block list has flagged as a tracker, and blocking that domain causes part of the website to malfunction. When this happens, you have options. You can whitelist the specific domain that is being blocked, you can whitelist the entire website temporarily, or you can investigate whether that domain is actually necessary for the site to function, or whether it is just a tracker you are genuinely better off blocking. Most DNS filtering solutions make whitelisting straightforward and reversible. The community-maintained block lists used by tools like Pi-hole and AdGuard Home are updated regularly, and the people who maintain them put significant effort into avoiding false positives. The most popular block lists are well curated and rarely cause problems with legitimate websites. But issues do occasionally come up, and knowing how to handle them is part of running this kind of setup. I also want to address VPNs because DNS and VPNs are often discussed together, and people sometimes confuse what each one does. A VPN encrypts all of your internet traffic and routes it through a server operated by the VPN provider. This hides your traffic from your ISP, but it also means you are trusting the VPN provider instead. A VPN by itself does not necessarily protect your DNS requests, because some VPN configurations allow DNS requests to leak outside the VPN tunnel, a problem known as DNS leakage. A good VPN will route your DNS requests through its own encrypted tunnel, but you should verify this is actually happening rather than assuming it. DNS filtering and VPNs can be used together, but they address slightly different problems. DNS filtering is primarily about blocking ads, trackers, and malicious domains at the network level. A VPN is primarily about hiding your traffic from your ISP and masking your IP address from the websites you visit. They can complement each other, but neither one replaces the other. If you are interested in VPNs, I have a video on that topic linked in the description below. For most people watching this video, the practical path forward looks like this. Start with NextDNS or AdGuard DNS on your devices. This is free or nearly free, takes minutes to set up, and gives you immediate, meaningful improvements in privacy and ad blocking. Once you are comfortable with that and you see the benefits, consider setting up Pi-hole or AdGuard Home at home on a Raspberry Pi or any spare computer you have. Add Unbound if you want to go further. These tools have excellent documentation, large communities, and countless tutorials. The learning curve is real but manageable, and the result is a home network that is genuinely more private and more secure than almost anything your neighbors are running. DNS is invisible infrastructure that most people never think about, but it is also one of the highest leverage points in your digital life for improving privacy. A few minutes of setup at the beginner level, or a few hours at the expert level, will pay dividends every single day in the form of fewer ads, less tracking, and substantially less data being collected about you and everyone in your household. Take control of your DNS and you take back a meaningful piece of your digital life.